Hey guys, welcome to another Coaches Q&A for the Northeast Performance community. Myself, Steve Gordon. I am joined by Charlotte. How are we doing, Charlotte?
Hi, I'm good, thank you. Good,
Good
you?
stuff. Yeah, good, thank you. And I'm also joined by Mr. Simon Trenholm. How are we doing, Si?
I'm good, thanks, mate. I'm good.
Good stuff, good stuff. So yeah, today, guys, we are kicking it off and talking about all things nutrition, just because we wanted to do a bit of a deeper dive into the things that actually get you the results rather than just focusing on the training side of things all the time. And I don't want to go back to mindset and philosophy like we did last week for a while anyway. So this week, guys, we're chatting about. I keep on looking up. I keep on looking at my food, going, "What is was, and what is could be was." But anyway, before we jump into that, guys, how's everybody's week been?
Of course, Simon.
Good. Yeah. I'm cycling. I'm still cycling between good days and bad days. This lockdown thing is some days I'm really struggling with kind of what the hell is it all about. I'm not moving forward as much as I want to, and then on other days I'm actually cutting myself a bit of slack. And enjoying the day a lot more when I cut myself a lot more slack. Yeah, ups and downs. Training's still sort of fairly consistent though, so that's pretty good. And yeah, food is kind of mostly there or thereabouts. So yeah, not enough water though.
Yeah.
Probably too much red wine.
Yeah. No, I can totally get that one. I think we all have our ups and down days and stuff like that. I think I don't know about you guys, but I tend to feel it on the days when I kind of just casually forget the scenario we're in, and it's kind of like, oh, it's Wednesday. Oh, no, I don't. I'm not doing that today. You know, it's just like catches you off guard. You know what I mean? But yeah, it hasn't been that bad. I haven't had that many down days as such lately. You know, feel like I'm in a good place at the moment, which is good. Very lucky. How's yours been, Shah?
I've had a good week, as you know. I've been had the week off the Facebook Lives, and it's been funny because I've not been getting out of bed as early, and it's been really strange. I've taken that routine away, and I've found it a bit odd, and I'm actually really looking forward to getting it back next week. I've still been training, but my training's, I've had to rejig it because I haven't got up in time, so it's been a really good week. Very strange because I'm very used to that routine, and I've been doing it for 7 weeks, and then it was like, oh, you're not doing it, and it was, but yeah, it did me good, definitely. And I got a really lovely bunch of flowers from a load of my women as well.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, so that was a really lovely surprise. They sent me those yesterday, I think that was. So yeah, it's been good. It's been a good week. It's been good. Been getting loads of training done. So yeah, but I am looking forward to getting a routine back, weirdly enough, next week. I have the new routine.
Yeah. Defo. Yeah, it's a funny one, isn't it? Because at this moment in time, you say you want to take a week off, but it's like a week off from what?
No.
I'm gonna have a week off from staying in the house. I'm gonna have a week off staying in the house.
I know, yeah.
Okay.
It was very strange.
Yeah.
But I think as well, I didn't stop doing any other work. It was just those lives. So it was just a week off that constantly having to almost perform, don't you? You know, but you're not performing to anybody that's giving you a reaction.
Yeah.
I'm performing to a screen.
That kind of emotional energy depletion on top of everything else. And I think you hang a lot of, once you've got a routine, you hang a lot of other habits and routines off it, don't you? And I think that it does have a huge difference, or make a huge difference.
And I think because I was kind of like, even though it was only the lives that I was off, I was in holiday mode. So
So you drank a lot of red wine this week.
I was like, yeah, let's get some. Mike's like, again? I was like, oh, I'm on holiday.
It's wine o'clock.
But yeah.
Charlotte, it's 10 o'clock. No, it's wine o'clock.
No, it's fine. Yeah, strange. But yeah, so I've learned a lot about myself this week that I do actually really like routine, and and I don't like lying in bed.
Yeah,
you really don't like doing that.
I've really, my morning routine's one thing that I've been trying to really smash, and this week I've sort of started waking up a little bit earlier now. And my morning routine is I've built up a really good habit of, while the coffee machine's warming up, I listen to a 5 or a 7 minute video by Jim Rohn. And it's subconscious now because I know it verbatim, but it's all about setting your sail and how everything that happens to you is your responsibility. It's your control. It's on you, and it's kind of a shot in the arm every single morning. And it might be worth you trying there, Si, if you find yourself you're having those ups and down days. Because before I look at any phone, media, or any of that sort of stuff, I've got that message going through my brain of everybody is at the mercy of the elements. And he talks about the set of the sail. The same wind blows on us all, but it's the set of the sail that makes a difference of where you end up. So I have that message going through my head first thing in the morning. And I'm doing like 50 shoulder dislocations with a broom handle, and I do like 10 to 20 sort of like broom snatches, so straight from the floor all the way up, just setting up my postural muscles and staying tall, which is psychologically, it's like, right, okay, you're awake now, you know, as well as improving my mobility. And that's just while the coffee machine's warming up. Have my earphones in while I'm doing that. Jump on, as soon as I grab my coffee, jump on the laptop and just doing some studying, and just going through a lot of educational stuff. So, and I find that I'm really, really creative. So I've been doing either my really creative work at that time, and this week's felt good because I feel like by 9 o'clock I'm ready to do Nevaeh's PE session with her and stuff like that. But it feels like I've achieved a lot. Do you know what I mean? And it's just because, but it's stuff that I'm passionate about and I enjoy doing. So I think that adds to it. But it kind of sets me up first thing in the morning. Right, whatever happens today is down to you. You set the sail, and that's it. So that's been quite a good little routine for me to get into that, actually. So yeah.
Do you think in the morning as well as everybody else asleep when they get up?
Yeah.
I like that, you see.
Yeah. And there's always got to be times, and there's been a bit of adjustment as well, because obviously Sarah's like, oh, just stay in bed and stuff like that, and I'm just like, actually, do you know what? I am my most productive between the hours of 6 and 9. So it's like, I've just got to do it then, you know, and feel so much better for it. And again, it's not easy, but it's, again, like I was saying a few weeks ago, I've got quite intuitive, and I've recognized that actually this is my creative time. This is when I'm going to get stuff done. And yeah, just feels so much better for doing it. You know, there's times when I drag myself downstairs and I'm like, hell, quite easily just go back to bed. But it's just starting doing those shoulder dislocations, 50 reps, and all of a sudden your heart rate going up and everything else like that. So yeah, that's been certainly a good one for me this week.
Do you have one? Do you have a set routine, Simon?
Excuse me. Yeah, I mean, it
depends how much wine he's drank.
Yeah.
Depends if he's putting 2 Alka-Seltzer next to his wine as well while he's making it, doesn't it? You know what I mean?
And now we're getting older, Simon. Let's face it. It's like 1 glass of red and there's a headache on its way.
I'm all right, actually. That's part of the problem, I think.
Sign of a man that drinks too much, that, isn't it? It's conditioned.
I think having a couple of clients in, well, I've got sort of clients in 9 o'clock 3 days a week, so 9 till 11 I've got. I've got guys in Zoom calls, so that's a nice way of getting up, sort of being ready for that. Getting a coffee in. And Dave wakes us up usually about 7 o'clock, jumping up and down, wanting food and stuff. So
that's a cat, by the way.
That's the cat.
Yeah, that's it. That's a cat. It's not the bloke down the street, lives on the corner. Just comes in.
Just
Morning, Simon. Morning,
Starts
Simon. Come
headbutting.
on, let's go.
Starts headbutting you. So yeah, but I'm like, I used to start work at 6 o'clock, and I used to find it really, really difficult. I find I'm more kind of productive, ideas-y when I'm doing my kind of long, slow duration bike stuff, and then actually able to get stuff done. I'm a bit more on an evening, as long as it doesn't go too late, because then that starts affecting my sleep. So mornings are kind of, it's fairly ingrained routine of get up, feed the cat, make a cup of tea, then coffee, and then I'll usually eat. At the minute, I don't find that I'm that hungry first thing in the morning, so I'm eating my kind of veggie omelette type stuff, might be about 11 o'clock, and then if I'm training kind of late afternoon. Depending on the intensity of it, I'll then, have a sort of pre-workout meal, snack, food, feed, refuel, whatever. Well, it can't be a refuel, can it? But a pre-fuel, about an hour and a half before, then train, and then refuel afterwards. So, it's a fairly routine day. But I'm not finding, get up, have breakfast kind of straight away, which I used to. I'm just a tea and then a coffee, and it's just how it's settled in. I'm not hungry. I'm not craving anything food wise. So it's working pretty well at the minute.
And
my weight is.
Sorry, what was that?
I was going to say my weight is because I weigh myself kind of every 3 or 4 days just to sort of keep an eye on things, and it's kind of slightly down on what it has been. So it's a funny one. It's as I said, it's just a routine that I've come in. I think Eat Clean Becky had said that she was eating kind of twice a day in a similar sort of pattern. She'd posted about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, funny that I've gone off having breakfast early, and I used to get up, and then it has got later and later, and I've just not been hungry. It depends on the day, what I've had the day before, massively. This morning I woke up and I was very hungry, and I ate half my overnight oats before I trained, half afterwards. But yeah, I kind of my breakfast routine, my food routine has definitely changed quite a lot.
Yeah.
Throughout this.
But I think if we look at all three of us prior this, it was kind of 2 to 3 days a week. Definitely, we were up and in the gym, either demonstrating exercises, warming up with clients, and everything else like that. So the energy demands were quite a lot higher then, so it's little things like that. As it changed, but your body is intuitive. Do you know what I mean? But again, we're sort of lucky, and I just want to caveat what we're saying here, guys, is the fact that myself, Simon, and Charlotte were quite intuitive with our energy demands. We're not saying, all right, well, we haven't really bothered by eating breakfast, so you don't bother. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like, no, we're quite intuitive to our energy demands and our training and stuff like that, But for those people who have notoriously skipped breakfast, just think our first meal is 100% nutrient dense, not calorie dense, nutrient dense. My first meal of the day isn't a bloody slice of toast and a bag of prawn cocktail crisps and a can of Diet Coke because I'm being good. Do you know? It's kind of like my first meal of the day is 3 scrambled eggs, load of spring onion, half a bag of spinach, loads of tomatoes, mushrooms. There you go. Do you know what I mean? So that's kind of. I just wanted to get that in because I didn't want people to get confused with, oh well, I don't have breakfast. The guys don't have breakfast, so I'm fine. Do you know?
Yeah.
But then,
and I do have breakfast. Don't get me wrong, I do have breakfast. It's got a little later.
Yeah.
And obviously Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, I do train at 9 o'clock in the morning. When I'm doing the live. And I've just found I haven't needed to fuel those sessions in the same way.
Yeah.
But I think that my training has changed. Like on a Tuesday and a Thursday night, I used to work quite late. I would eat late. Now my meal times have changed on an evening as well. So I don't eat probably as late as I used to. And I'm not rushing around. I don't rush my food as much. Whereas before, I was in and out of the gym from 6 in the morning till 8 at night, sometimes later. So it was more of a fuel was a necessity, because if I didn't have it then, I wasn't going to have it for another 3 or 4 hours. Whereas now I can be a lot more structured. My food's there, and I'm cooking a lot more, and so it's a different.
You can listen to your hunger cues a lot more, can't you?
Yeah.
You're not crowbarring calories in because it's got to be the only time you can eat.
Yeah.
You know, there's many a time when you kind of like, right, if I don't eat at 4 o'clock, I'm not necessarily hungry, but I've got a client in at 4:30 and I ain't finishing till 7:30, 8:30. You know,
and then I've got to train. If I don't eat now, I'm not going to get the best out of my training, and
that's it. So it's
this sort of the whole scenario affording you a level of like the luxury of actually listening to your hunger cues, which is, again, I think a lot of people don't necessarily listen to hunger cues, which can make it easy to overeat. I've had breakfast, but somebody else is coming downstairs at 11 o'clock and eating toast. There's toast on the go. I should have 4 slices of toast as well. But are you hungry?
Yeah.
Not really. It's that. As I say, it's settling into a routine, but and as you say, it's a sort of a routine that's based on knowing your body and knowing what's going on.
And I think it goes back to a really important thing, and we were chatting about it offline, about journaling and just getting a daily diary and stuff like that. And sometimes, like I say, the investment and just trying to find what gets you going, what foods make you sluggish, what time of day suits you to feel good to eat, what cues bring you back round, what sets you off if you're craving something, what is there an emotional trigger there, and stuff like all these little things that as soon as you can get dialed into them, you're in a really, really good position. It's really makes it intuitive, doesn't it?
I think as well, like what's triggering that eating is really important, and when you link into what Simon was saying about understanding hunger cues. And I think at the moment as well, because we're in this situation where we're all sitting down, we're trying to sit down as families, we're trying to eat meals together, we can use it as an opportunity to eat more mindfully as well. And then we can understand, okay, so I'm eating this now, and how this funny old thing of being 80% full, but but actually just eating until we're satisfied and full. And understanding, okay, am I hungry or am I bored? Or am I lonely? you know, what is the actual trigger for the for me eating? Is it just because it's 1 o'clock, I must eat at 1 o'clock? And if you can use this time to understand that if you're lonely or bored, and so you're turning to food, what else can you do to stop yourself from being lonely and bored, rather than treating that symptom of and eating? So it's kind of, you know, it's good to use this as an opportunity, I think, as to really get into tune with your eating and with your hunger cues. And
you hit the nail on the head as well there with kind of one of the other habits of kind of eating slower. You know, if you're sitting down as a family and you've crowbarred the phones out of the kids' hands, and you can get some conversation out of them, it naturally slows you down, especially as the conversation flows. You're not thinking, right, this is my food and I've got a minute and 45 seconds to get these 600 calories that I've planned to eat now down. And it changes it, doesn't it? You know, where because you're on less of a time constraint, it can be easier to overeat if you're eating quickly. But then that sort of social chatting about, you know, I mean, I know it's difficult chatting about, so what did you do today? What did you find in the garden? What did you know, I know what you've done, but it's you know, it slows your eating down.
Yeah. And you've got to think, when we're doing that sort of stuff of actually remembering, and again talking about the cues, what is that hunger trigger? Do you know, is it the fact that it's a neurochemical balance of where the brain's going, I want a sugary snack because I want a big old dopamine hit, or I want to get some feel good hormones flying around my body? Or is it your gut, in terms of your sort of ghrelin hormone and that leptin response, in terms of when you're full and everything else like that? Are those the hormones that are getting triggered? Do you know? Because leptin response is actually a crucial thing that we don't probably train enough, or we just kind of take for granted. Now, if people don't really know what ghrelin's one, that'll make you grumble. It's the way I kind of remember.
It's a good way.
Remember it. Do you know? I.e., this is your hunger. You know, right? This is my stomach saying, I'm hungry. Let's go. I need something. But also, leptin is the one that says, right, I've had enough. But leptin's the slower cousin. He's like the slower one of the siblings, you know, that one that takes a little bit longer to catch up. And this is why slowing it down gives leptin enough chance to go, no, I'm good now. Now we're good down here, rather than him just sort of toddling his way over, getting his way to your stomach and sending it up to the brain saying, oh, we're full now. Next thing you know, you've already cleared off like 3 courses of the Chinese all you can eat kind of thing, and your stomach looks like you're about to give birth in a few months' time kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? So it's just understanding of what's going on there. Yeah. Is it hunger hormones and satiety for hormones, or is it your emotional and getting hold of them is really key, you know? And I think little things like that, again, because dehydration can make you feel like you're hungry. Can it can make you want a snack, but you're just actually dehydrated because the body just goes, yeah, I can get water from food.
Exactly.
You know, which is it's a completely weird thing, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's really, where did it possibly come from? Thinking that was going to be a good order to put it in. Right, I'm thirsty. Come on, let's eat. You know, stupid thing. but I think it's really important, guys, that you have an understanding of that, because it's, once you understand the science behind it, then you can understand, well, it's not just us saying it for the sake of saying it, of eat till you're 80% full and all that kind of stuff, and slow down, put your knife and fork down in between mouthfuls or every other mouthful and stuff like that. It's to allow your body to do what it needs to do. you know. And then obviously as you get better at them, because leptin's also one of them, which is kind of like you can sort of keep eating and eating and eating, and that hormone just disappears. So you will always feel hungry, you know. Oh, I've got a big appetite. Well, I'm not surprised, because you've been eating to feed a small country for the past 6 years, and leptin has went, I'm not even going up there. You know what I mean? Leptin sat at the bottom of the high-rise flats and just going, nah, not even going to attempt going up there. Do you know what I mean? So that's what happens when you say I've got a big appetite and stuff like that. It's probably because you've got a hormonal imbalance of leptin doesn't have a clue, and it doesn't send the signals that it needs to, which then can be quite dangerous, because you need to think about insulin sensitivity and all of that. I don't want to go into that one, because that is a complex one, and if you look at type 2 diabetes and stuff, that's where that comes from. But yeah, start thinking about this is why it's serious to look at it, you know.
I always remember my granny was a wise lady, and I always remember her saying to me, do not load your fork up with more food until you've finished what's in your mouthful. And you know, when you just think, oh, but it's always stuck with me from my entire life, and it's one of those habits. And I'm trying to pass it on to my children, because I think if you can ingrain those little habits when you're young, you know, you've already trained half the battle. You've already trained your body just by those little tiny things, and it works.
Yeah, definitely.
I do eat. I'm the last one to finish my meal at the table, and I always remember my mum always was, Mike wolfs his down, and I think that's because he's scared someone's going to pinch it, because when he was little, growing up in that house, they probably were. So he inhales his, and I just sit and just eat a bit like a bird. But my mum always used to do the same, and I'm from a really big family, and we never had enough. There was never seconds. We just used what we had. You were always wanted for, and there wasn't. And my mum's always been quite a small woman, and she's never really struggled with her weight. And I think she had self-regulation of, you know, she used to eat very slowly, and now I'm doing it. Now I do it too, and it's quite interesting to note those habits in terms of how I've grown up and what I've been taught, which I'm very grateful for as well, because I don't have that. I'm lucky. I don't, apart from my sweet tooth. I don't have that habit.
It's the little things, isn't it? It's the little habits that we've talked about in the past and stuff. Like I'm that guy who parks on like the furthest away from the supermarket entrance possible. Do you know what I mean? That one space that you think, why have they even put one there? No one's ever going to park there. I'll park in that space so I can like walk further to the, you know, I'm just that person. But it's all the little things, isn't it, that mount up, you know?
I was going to say they add up, and they have a massive cumulative effect, though, don't they?
Yeah, definitely. So in terms of that, obviously we've chatted about why it's important to think about, from a hormone point of view, trying to distinguish, is it an emotional one, or is it actually the grumpy ghrelin sort of telling you, right, I'm ready to get food into me now. What sort of strategies would you sort of recommend, Si, in terms of the makeup of someone's plate, and why that's kind of important?
I think it depends it does depend entirely on what you're doing. So what does your training look like for the day? So, you know, there's always veggies on the plate. That's a non-negotiable. There's always 2-3 fists of veggies on the plate. And the kind of veggies that I'm talking about are the veggies that grow predominantly above the ground. So if anything grows below the ground, most of the time, it's because it's a store of energy for the plant to keep it over winter. So potatoes, tubers, that sort of thing, they're all stores of energy, keep the plant over winter so that it can then reseed in the summer. So they're full, you know, a lot of the time they are full of calories. So, but anything that grows above the ground, eat with abandon, basically. You know, in terms of veggies. So I want 2 to 3 good, you know, fistfuls of veggies on there. If I am about to train or if I have just trained, then I want good quality carbs on there, minimally processed, and then I want some decent, easily absorbable protein on there. My fats, because I'm putting more carbs in there, my fats are going down over. And then I also want to be thinking, right, okay, if I'm not training hard, then my fats come up, my veggies stay the same, my protein stays the same, but my carbs go down. Now, it might be that I'll train, as I said, I'll train on a night. So my breakfast will be a big old veggie omelette, and it'll be two eggs and some egg whites, asparagus, tomatoes, onions, peppers, a little bit of goat's cheese just to give it some flavour. And then, as I say, lunch will be your kind of chicken, rice and veg. And then tea will be kind of chicken, rice and veg with my training in there. Or it might be oats and fruit as a pre-workout meal. But I've got one kind of rest and recuperation breakfast meal, and then I've got two carb-heavy meals for the rest of the day that are going to fuel my training and start that the recharge of my energy stores. If I'm doing a green day where it might be 45 minutes on the bike with my heart rate at 130, then I don't need to fuel that with carbohydrate. So I might actually eat 3 rest and recuperate meals. There's not going to be 3 veggie omelettes, but it's going to be kind of chicken and veg, meat and veg, and that'll be my 3 meals for the day. And so it's just I cycle my carbohydrates. Working with you, we looked at your training first, and then when actually, these are your calories for the week. These are your big red days when it's 5, 6, 7 minutes with the 32s. That's a hell of a training session that you're going to need to fuel. So we're going to whack a load of carbohydrate in there, but then the next day you've got a 5K run with your heart rate at 130. We can get that recuperation and we can get your fats in there and get all the benefits from the fats, building new cell walls, that sort of stuff, reducing inflammation. And so that's how my food looks throughout the day and kind of throughout the week. And as we've kind of said a little bit too much red wine now and again.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because that's somebody who's researched it, understands their food, knows what makes them feel good. So all I'm thinking now is there's probably going to be people watching this and listening to this going, well, I'm a million miles away from that because I have Weetabix or cereal for breakfast because I don't like anything else. Cereal's what the only thing that I like. Then you've got people who are like, I'll have a sandwich for me dinner and then for tea. Oh, that's where I have a healthy tea because I have half a chopped carrot in mince and dumplings. You've got those. You got that type of people. Charlotte, you're sort of nodding your head going, yeah, I know those kinds of people, So what I want to say to people there to get to there is rather than your head exploding and going, I'm never going to be able to do that, or where would I even start to cycle it and stuff?
Tiny steps.
Is just sail that down. And that's what I wanted to get across there. And I don't want you to think about what Simon eats and try and do that because I'll put money on it by week 1 or 2, you'll fail because it's just too much for the brain to take. So rather than thinking about that, go for literally the low-hanging fruit of what meals can you look at. If you're too busy in the morning to concentrate on just getting up and not feeling like a sack of crap, I wouldn't suggest trying to change that meal just yet. I would focus on the ones where you've got a bit more of a coherent decision-making process. So that might be a lunchtime meal or something like that, and really nail that. And then once you've nailed that, or once you've got yourself in a position where you understand that, then it'll start to have that knock-on effect there. And the reason why I want to say that is because I've seen it time and time again over the years of people who just try and say, right, I'm going to be good this week, and they have this, they have that, and they have that, and then it just goes to rats by the end of the week or 2 weeks, or if they've been really good, they'll get to 3 weeks, and then all of a sudden they'll hit a bit of a bump and it'll just go down. It'll fall like a house of cards, So I don't know if you agree with that, Charlotte. I don't know if you.
Yeah, I tend to advise people to kind of pick one thing, and so what's an easy thing that you can change in the next couple of weeks. So it could be something as simple as you see it time and time again. There's just no vegetables anywhere, so it might just be right. Okay, where can you easily think that you can add in some veggies? Let's go for get 2 portions of veggies in at least 1 meal a day, and just start it like that, and get into a habit of prepping veggies. And then once that's nailed, okay, now let's look at whatever, and I'm just taking veggies as an example. Actually, to be honest, often it's actually just a complete, with women especially, it's a complete lack of protein and enough protein. So it might be that, but you always just choose one thing and focus on that, definitely. Like you say, what's going to give you something that's quick, something that's easy, that you can quickly master, because once you've mastered one thing, you can start building on that. So yeah, it always depends on that individual, doesn't it? And
yeah,
what's going to give them the biggest bang for the buck, and going to be the easiest quick win, like you say, the low hanging fruit.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't wake up one day and just suddenly start eating like this.
Oh. Is that not how it's done?
Apparently not, no. And it's just one of those things. It becomes habitual. You start off by eating some more protein, making sure that you're getting your palm sizes. And I still don't weigh food. I still use hand-sized portions because they're there. It's easy. You start off by going, right, okay, I quite like veg. I'm lucky like that. How can I get more veg in? A breakfast's, it's time pressed. How can I make breakfast easier? I can't eat veggies on a morning. I can't eat veg for breakfast. What the hell is he on about? Okay, what about fruit for breakfast? So, and that's where, you kind of, it may not be overnight oats, but it might be, an egg wrap with cinnamon and nutmeg and some fruit in there instead of your veggies.
You eat some weird stuff, mate. I'm sorry. No one is going to be looking at it going, an egg wrap with some cinnamon.
I know, it's cheese.
It's a pancake.
Is that all right? So an egg pancake with cinnamon and fruit and a little bit of Nutella in it.
Yeah.
Life would be complete, wouldn't it? Grenade chocolate. But I'm
like, £7 a jar. That's why you lose weight, because you can't afford to buy anything else.
Does cookie dough count?
No.
Warm cookie dough for breakfast, does that count?
Straight out the tube shop.
But again, those, Lidl do the protein yogurts, and they're great. I mean, it's 20 grams of protein in a yogurt. Throw some veggies, some fruit at those, and some nuts, toasted almonds and stuff over the top. They're going to keep you full for a long time.
Yeah.
And it's sweet, so you're not forcing somebody to eat a veggie omelette. I mean, you guys know my downfall is cheese. I don't really have a sweet tooth, but put some cheese or goat's cheese in there,
or frozen spinach. Get some of that into a smoothie on a morning.
Absolutely. But I think what we do as people, the three of us coach when we're coaching our food, you look at individuals' needs and it's never a one size fits all. You know, it's that whole motivational interview, and what can you do that you are going to succeed at that we can then nail that and build on it, nail another one, build on it, nail another one, build on it. And I think that's what, you know, that's why people.
And you get to the early stages, and I see it with clients a lot, as again, this might go back to last week's, but in terms of like, oh, I just don't like this, or oh, I just don't think I can do that, or what about that? And sometimes you're going to have to be brutally honest with yourself and just go, listen, at the end of the day, why do you want to clean up your eating habits? Well, I know that I'm not eating healthy and I want to drop a bit of weight. If that's one side of the coin, for example, completely opposite of why I eat food. And you've got to go, well, you've got to take responsibility for it. Like, you're an adult. So stop crying, stop whimpering on a little bit, and just say, do you want to stay the same as you are now, or do you want to accept that it's going to be difficult? You're going to have to eat some veggies. You're going to have to change it. I know we can talk about small little changes and stuff like that, and that'll get results in the long term. But every single time you go shopping, you're not allowed to put 3 boxes of Pop-Tarts in there because it makes me feel good, and I'm going to have a cheat day, and I'm going to have watch a film, and I'm going to have 4 glasses of wine while eating Pop-Tarts, whilst dipping them in Haagen-Dazs ice cream because it was a cheat day, because I had a bad day. Do you know? There's sometimes you just got to take responsibility for your food and stuff like that as well. Do you know? The palate is adaptable. I don't care what people say, but your palate is adaptable. It will change, because guess what? We could drop you into some village in a faraway land that hasn't got a McDonald's, hasn't got a KFC. They don't even know what Kellogg's is. You know, they don't know what, they don't have pasteurized milk or anything like that. They'll wake up every single day and they'll have rice and they'll have fish that they caught the night before, and that's all you're eating. You will adapt to eat that, you know. So I just wanted to get that in.
It's like 17 tastes of a vegetable, isn't it, or something, that before they actually like it. And you look at a kid's palate over time, and actually, to be fair, I couldn't bear mushrooms until I was about 25, 26. I would not go near them, and I love them now. I couldn't bear avocados and mushrooms, and my kids are the same, and olives, in fact. But over time, you keep on trying, and you try, and you try, and you try, and our adult palate do adapt as well.
Yeah.
You know, every time we go on holiday, Ethan's like, right, I'm going to try some olives this time. I'm going to try and like them. And about 5 or 6 holidays later, he likes them, you know. And it's kind of, you just need to keep trying. And I know sometimes, like, breakfast is a funny one, isn't it? Because if you're not really hungry in the morning and then you're trying to eat something that you really don't like, I understand that can be quite difficult.
Yeah.
But there are hacks around it, like the frozen thing, you know, and it's just knowing what they are, you know. It's kind of, it's like you're saying, and I don't like the idea of a cheat day.
No.
Because it's kind of, that's putting foods into that good or bad category, which I really don't like. It's like going back to what we said the other day, and I've been saying a lot, speak to some of my clients, it's about that spectrum and a continuum. And having moderation. And if you label everything good or bad, you're essentially labeling yourself as being good or bad for eating them. And that sort of psychology and that relationship with food is never gonna, it's not gonna change, and it's quite damaging. And unfortunately, the way that we are marketed to, it's, you know, are you being good, and you know, you have a good day of food, and these foods are bad, and it treats things, you know, and it's that marketing, isn't it? That big machine that it's telling, and even treats. It's like, I'm not a dog. Don't feed me treats. You know, it's just funny. It's the way you word things and the way you talk about food, and especially around children as well. I think I feel really responsible the way I talk about it around my two. I think it's really important. Cheat meals, and it's what you're cheating.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not a game.
That's it.
Food is food.
Yeah, I'm kind of lucky because I've kind of got myself into a situation when I always look at my meals. My meals would look ridiculously random to a lot of people, because I have literally got the mindset of, has it got protein? Is the veg there? Is there carbs there? Is there fats? And I'll divide it down that way. But on the flip side of that, when it comes closer to a comp and I'm just about to start a new program called Kettlebell Cuts, bit of marketing for you there. But literally, this is about going into massive amount of detail with the food and trying to get maximize my performance on the bells while dropping fat. Just for my own self, it's just something that I want to do. And there's times when you're trying to hit your calorie intake on a feed day, and it's bloody hard. Do you know what I mean? Like, it is hard, it is grim, do you know? But that's sometimes it's just what you have to do, do you know? But I'm kind of lucky in that respect, as I know that, because I'll eat cold food, I'll eat food that doesn't particularly taste very nice. I couldn't really care less as long as it's got the nutrients in there, and as long as it's not poxy mince, I'll be fine. Because mince
the devil's work.
Mince is the food of the devil. Do you know? Awful stuff. Oh.
What about mince and pasta?
Nah, stinking. Awful. Nah,
what about tuna pasta?
Do you know what? Tuna's a funny one. Like, tuna, I've started to come around to tuna, but yeah, there's a thing. Like, if there's something that you really, really like, you're quite enjoying, it's bad for you, just eat about 500 times the recommended daily allowance of it in a week.
Yourself quickly.
And you'll sicken yourself off it. Like, that's what happened with me with tuna.
Is that right?
Yeah. Oh, listen, like 1 week, I think I got to about a week of like about 15 to 20 tins of tuna. Do you know?
What were you doing? Were you bodybuilding?
How I never got mercury poison, I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like, literally, I would probably.
It does take a while to build up, mate.
If
it could be there. You're only young.
If I went through a metal detector, I probably would have set one off. I was eating that much tuna. Do you know what I mean? So, but yeah, that's just it's a different story. But basically, I just wanted to highlight, like, that's a different end of the spectrum. So, and I think people need to recognize where they're currently at.
Yeah.
If you're somebody who is what you just listen to what Simon said before, and you think, wow, I am absolutely a million miles away from that because I have Cheerios for breakfast, a sandwich, and then a microwave meal or something that looks like it was made in a black and white film, i.e. it's got no color in it, then I'd say, right, actually, you don't need to sort of count your calories as such, and you don't need to do these intricate things that we do. All I want you to do is start building the foundation of plenty of veggies, plenty of colorful foods, and a more consistent calorie intake throughout the day, and not relying on your snacking. And then once you've got that nailed, then start to calorie count in terms of, right, okay, we've got that in a situation. Let's start understanding how much your portion sizes are, how much you're eating, start building that awareness around your food. And then start going through the levels, think of it like a pyramid. At the top is your bodybuilders, your athletes, and everything else like that. Work your way back down and then just have a bit of a feel of where you're currently at. Because what I tend to find is people try and bypass the bottom bit and go straight to the top.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And so-and-so said this about this 28-day fast thing, or the new keto diet, or this supplement, or whatever it may be. Do you know? So I think if as long as people start putting themselves in levels, that tends to help a bit.
I think
like
as well with
everything,
the
isn't it? You
calorie.
can't,
Sorry, Simon, go on.
I was going to say, it's like everything, isn't it? You can't build a big old pyramid if you haven't got a broad base.
Yeah.
So,
I think just picking up on the sort of calorie counting side of things as well. That obviously that's quite a big thing, isn't it, for people in terms of, well, I've had this many calories and I'm not dropping, and and I think you have to be really careful when it comes to calorie counting. I try not to do it. I don't. The only time I probably really look closely at my calories is when I'm trying to cut weight for a comp. And apart from that, I am, as we've said, I am quite an intuitive eater, and I know when I've had too much, I know when to pull back, I know what I need. But as Simon was talking about earlier on, using hands is a great way because they're portable. You can take them with stress out of understanding how much you need to eat. And I think sometimes we get caught up too much in detail of calories when we don't need to. And let's face it, there can be 25% out either way when you're looking at packaging, and when we're looking at calories, not a really accurate way, which is why hunger cues and hands are a much more, sort of organic, holistic way to look at it. You'll see on the side of a packet of crisps, they're 85 calories. So we go, it's okay, so I'm going to eat those. It's like, yeah, but crisps, and it's like, so you kind of get hung up on the amount of calories you've eaten and you don't look at the nutrients that you're actually eating. And I see that a lot. It's kind of just think about the nutrients over and above the calories.
It's the old saying, isn't it? They put the cart before the horse kind of thing, and that's so true for nutrition. And it doesn't help, like, the fact that this country is built on an absolute marketing machine, and you will be psychologically tested to your limit every single day on buying this food, that food, this food, that food, and stuff like that, or because it's gluten free, it's healthy, and and it's vegan now, so it must be healthy and stuff like that. All these kinds of things.
You're really trying with my red flags, aren't you?
They're all our red flags, because we see it all the time. Is I've got these gluten-free biscuits. Does that mean you should have 5 packets a week?
17?
No, it doesn't. So,
are you gluten intolerant? Do you need to eat gluten-free biscuits?
Yeah. Yeah. All of a sudden, everyone's gluten-free.
Exactly. And I think it's being mindful of that, and hopefully the guys will take that on board of just start with the Billy basics of trying to understand your body and trying to understand what your needs are. Now, some people aren't in that position. Some people just need to be in a position of, right, okay, just tell me what I need to eat on this day, this day, this day, this day. So that's where we can prescribe, Simon can prescribe, or you can prescribe, and just go, right, okay, I want you to have a handful of fruit, and I want you to have a fistful of ski yogurt, and I want you to have a cup size of oats in there. That's your first task. That's your meal. Then just going that way. Then you've got some people who are starting to recognize, all right, okay, I don't feel hungry here, or this food starts to make me feel a bit queasy, this food doesn't, and stuff, it's recognizing that. And I think people need to spend a lot more time working on that,
I think as well, it's like, we all follow those principles of like eating whole foods where we can, minimally processed. If it goes bad, then it's good for you. And if it doesn't, it's probably not. And it's just try and overcomplicate things as well, because like going back to what you're saying about this marketing, they're there to overcomplicate and confuse things for us because they want to make money. So they're going to make it up because they want to make money. And actually, that's why all the big supermarkets exist, and we don't have greengrocers anymore, and we don't have fishmongers and butchers on the high street, because those big companies, General Mills, all of the food companies exist, and they're making everything in packets for us to make our lives easier, and actually what they're doing is making it a lot harder for us.
Yeah.
You know. So anyway, that's I could talk for days about all of that. It drives me insane.
Yeah.
You know what? We don't need Cheerios for breakfast.
No, that's it.
You know, cereals were invented by Kellogg's and by Nestle. They're not a breakfast.
No.
They drive me. Cereals, no.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Because they've only been embraced by kind of Western society and stuff like that, isn't it? You know, it's really interesting to see what kind of impact and how we've been conditioned. And I think there was a Scandinavian country, wasn't there, that actually banned Kellogg's out of their country for quite a while because it was over the. Oh, but our cereal's fortified with iron. Right,
the reason
okay.
It needs to be fortified is because you've taken it out in the first place.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, it's fortified with iron that your body can't absorb. So you might as well just actually put iron shavings in the bottom of the cereal because you're probably more likely to absorb it than you would. That's been put in your food. But anyway, but yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it? Just to see how everything's become such a societal thing, do you know? And if basically just look at where the American army's gone in terms of different countries. Where is it? Was it Haiti or somewhere where they had like one of the highest aging populations in the world? They used to eat where purple sweet potato was really high in antioxidants and all these types of foods. And then they built an American army base there. And then there was KFCs and Taco Bell and everything. And now obviously these people, indigenous people and obviously from the islands and stuff are just ridiculously obese because they've just been conditioned to say this is the type of food that you will have, you know.
Look at Mexico and countries like that where they're one of the highest consumers of Coca-Cola in the world, aren't they?
Yeah.
Massive problems with obesity and things. But I used to recruit for all these companies, you see, so I kind of when I was in my office days, my clients were people like Coca-Cola and General Mills and Kellogg's, and I know what I've seen the money making and the amount of money they spend on marketing and sales, which is where I used to recruit, and they're ruthless.
Yeah,
they really are ruthless, and there's not a part of the world that they haven't touched.
No,
I remember when I was traveling and I went to India and went to Southeast Asia, and breakfasts were amazing. We had chana masala for breakfast, chickpeas and curry and things, and then you were eating noodle soup in Vietnam for breakfast, and that was breakfast.
Yeah.
But that's those were the proper breakfasts that they haven't been touched by. Well, they have been touched by, but not.
Yeah. Well, you just look at you look at where the word breakfast comes from. Do you know? You're breaking your fast.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, breakfast, it has to be cereals and this. Do you know? You're literally breaking your fast.
Yeah.
So flip it on the other side. Say if we took food away from you for 48 hours and you could choose your first meal and your body was feeling a bit frail, what would you try and fuel it with? I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be carbohydrates. It wouldn't be cardboard and milk, would it? You know what I mean? With a bit of sugar in there, Yeah. So it's just I think it's going back to the basics, isn't it? Really
definitely.
Is. Really, really is.
Absolutely.
We were talking about self-awareness and stuff last week as well, isn't it? And it's that ability to look at yourself objectively. It just hits everything. It hits nutrition. It hits your training. It hits. So
yeah, it is. It's a complex subject, but actually the principles of it are relatively simple. And until you've got the principles laid down, there's no point looking at the complexity of it. And don't believe the headlines that come out in local rags and stuff like that of wine increases your life and all this kind of crap, and high fat, low carbohydrate, carbohydrate, low fat. All of these dietary interventions all came about with somebody trying to sell some sort of product over and over and over again.
Yeah.
You know, it's so just be mindful of that.
Absolutely.
Cool, guys. I think we've chatted on that. We've got on before we get any higher on our soapbox.
I was going to say we got onto our horses and went for a lovely ride.
That's it.
We can't help it, can we?
No, we can't. We can't. We know the guys. We know that guys will like it. Hopefully, it's just reinforcing a message that they know deep down, time and time again. That's probably why not many people ask us questions about nutrition, because we're not going to try and sell them a magic pill, are we? We're just going to say,
no.
Actually, no, you should eat a lot of veggies.
Yeah.
Cut down on your crap, you know. But right, let's finish on that one, guys. So I have got a quote for you, and I think it sums up this chat really, really well in terms of just eat real food. That be your praise, your basics. So let food be thy medicine, and medicine be thy food, by Hippocrates. So the forefathers of modern medicine, and I think that just sums it up really, really well, doesn't it?
It does.
Especially in these times that we're in as well. So put the packets down, get the fresh stuff. Right, guys, been a pleasure, been awesome as always, and we'll be back next week for more coach Q&A.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Catch you later.
Yeah, cheers. Bye.